My point, I don't think Obama cares. I don't think that he cares about the details. I don't even think he knows. If you want to know the hard, cold truth, all this is to Obama is bigger government, more power, more control, and the opportunity to raise taxes and redistribute the money. That's all it is to him. That's what he wanted out of it. He wants the government in charge of this. He knows that when the government's in charge of health care and when the government's in charge of the costs, that he can dictate behavior on the basis that certain behaviors are too expensive and will cost the government too much money, and therefore he can prohibit certain behaviors or tax them or whatever. That's what he salivates over. Now, he doesn't care about the breakdown. In fact, the more it breaks down, the better. Because I'll tell you, isn't it true? Government Program A, signed into law. Government Program A falls apart, does not perform anywhere near as designed. Panic ensues. Problem create. The next thing that happened, we need a new program to fix Program A. Government fixes it. What they broke. That's been the tradition. They create these stupid entitlements and other programs. They don't work. And everybody clamors for the government to fix it. And the government happily says, well, hell yeah, we'll be happy to fix it. Because government gets bigger every time this happens. And every time government gets bigger, you lose a little freedom and you lose a little money. Every time it gets bigger. So they come up with a program. The program doesn't work. People clamor for the program to get fixed. The government says, we'll do it. And what's convoluted about this is that the people who screw it up in the first place are the ones people ask to fix it. Despite the absolute disaster the government is in running programs, still way too many Americans turn to government to fix these problems. And it's because there's this misplaced belief that there is benevolence in the government. And with this bunch running it, there isn't any benevolence. So it's not a matter of thinking. I know Obama doesn't care. He doesn't care what's in this plan. He doesn't care for the minutia. He doesn't care about the details. And if there are bumps in the road in implementation, so what? It's just more of an opportunity for more government to fix that problem. And guess what? There's an added bonus. You get to blame the Republicans for what's gone wrong. And the media joins right in. Yep, Republicans screwed that up. Wait a minute, Republicans didn't support any of it. Yeah, and that's the problem. If we'd have had Republican help, this problem wouldn't have existed. If we'd have had a little bipartisanship, this problem is directly traceable to the fact that Republicans didn't care. But that's okay, we'll fix it. I imagine Obama's fluent in discussing the exchanges a bit, but he didn't even write this. He didn't even write the health care legislation. He turned it over to Congress. It's been sitting in a drawer collecting dust for 50 years. And every year some little staffer would add some more dreams to it. Finally, it ends up as 2,700 pages of absolute liberal disaster. And these guys are right. It's not going to be implemented correctly. And there are going to be people that'll be fined and taxed, despite the fact there won't be any policy to buy. The exchanges aren't going to be set up. And even if they are, they're not going to run right because it's the government running them. It is an absolute disaster. And you would think that when that happens, most people would say, aha, well, this is the wrong way to do this. Let's turn this back over to private sector. That's not what's going to happen. What always happens is people turn to the government to fix it when the government broke it in the first place. I don't know. But these guys are right. Whether Obama's reelected or not, if this thing isn't repealed, its implementation is going to lead to more confusion, chaos, murkiness, despair, tumult. It's too big to work. It's like everything liberal. There's so much misplaced idealism, believing that what they believe is perfection personified. It's utopia. We believe in it, it'll work. And there's no evidence that that's ever the case. And the people who aren't going to care are the rich, because they're not going to be affected by it. And Obama won't be affected by it. Henry Nostrilitis Waxman won't be affected by it. Members of Congress won't be affected. It's not going to fall apart for them.